everybody, and welcome to Toffee Bluecast. You know what it is. This is the big event. Let's drop this on the screen. Let's get ready.
Here we go, fans, from the bottom 9 teams in the Premier League. Come head to head. Thoughts on your teams at this moment in time? Bottom 9 order predictions. Let's get ready to rumble!
Here we go. We are here. Welcome, everybody. We have the bottom 9 teams. We are just waiting on one fan. That is the Forest fan. He has let us know that he is going to be late. We want you to get involved in the comments as well. We want your order on the bottom 9 predictions as well. First of all, the way we're going to start the show is we're going to put it on everyone. How you feel you've been doing. Are you happy with how it's been going? And how do you feel going into the next games later on? So I'm going to drop it because you're in the best position. We're going to start at the top. Fulham. So, Russ, how do you feel?
Well, honestly, at this point, I'm feeling pretty good, guys. Fulham have been dealing a lot with players being out, being at the African Cup of Nations. I don't know why I'm not being seen by a Brentford supporters being seen, but I'm feeling pretty good. And to be honest with you, I don't expect Fulham to be ending in 12th. I'm expecting a little bit higher than that, a little bit further away from this relegation zone. But I understand why they are where they are. I mean, it's been an up and down season, but I feel good with Iwobi and Bassey returning, and we have some injured players returning. We even had a sighting from Adama Traore of all people, and we also have Harry Wilson returning. So I'm feeling pretty good.
So you're feeling good up until now. So your players are coming back. You are at the top end. Do you feel like? I know we're going to put your predictions on the screen later.
Sure.
Do you feel like you can probably pull away from this? Then you're feeling good. Your injuries. You feel good on injuries?
Yeah. To be honest with you, Fulham have dealt with some injuries. They've really struggled to figure things out without Mitrovic. I think they finally have figured it out. And I'm just feeling that they're not going to be where they are right now, 12th. I think they're going to, like I said, I think they are going to push forward. And I think a big test will be the next 2 matches when they play Aston Villa at home, and then they're on the road against Manchester United. If we get a victory out of either one of those 2 matches, I think Fulham are going to be in good shape.
So you're actually feeling that you might pull away from this Royal Rumble. You might not be in this. You might not be in this 9-team Royal Rumble that we've got on this year.
No, I'm not expecting Fulham to be anywhere near it.
But you understand that we've got to have you on there because you do fall into this category at the minute. Yeah,
I understand.
You are on 29 points. Then it's Bournemouth 27, and then Brentford 25. So, like you say, if you do hit form now, you could pull away from this. But if it does go the opposite direction. But it's interesting you say you think it's only going to get better. Right, let's put it on to the next team. Thanks from Fulham. That is how Fulham are feeling at the minute. Let's put it on to Bournemouth. Bournemouth, how do you feel it's gone? And how do you feel it's going to go?
Do you know what? This early part of this season, I was very, very critical of Andoni Iraola. And in fact, it was the game against Everton where I said, look, it's not going to work. I was adamant it wasn't going to work. And then all of a sudden it come together. We had a bit of luck against Burnley at home, and then it all just pieced together. We went on this fantastic run. We beat Manchester United 3-0 at Old Trafford. We were fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So I am confident. I'm very, very confident going into this battle. I don't think we'll be anywhere near it, to be honest. And I think if we had done better at the weekend, we did better against Nottingham Forest the weekend before, because of course we was leading that game as well. I don't think we'd really be anywhere of the sorts. You've got to also keep in mind and this is going to really wind up some of the other teams on here. We have got a very, very, very good run coming up that consists, after the FA Cup game with Leicester, we've got Burnley away, we've got Sheffield United at home, we've got Luton at home, Wolves away, we got Everton at home, Crystal Palace at home, Luton away, before playing Man United in April. And do you know what? I think if we can hit the ground running, have a good result against Leicester, hit the ground running in that period, we're going to be absolutely fine. We'll be safe by middle of April.
Very, very confident from Bournemouth. He's feeling it and he's ready and he wants to get away from this. He doesn't want to be in this Royal Rumble with us. Right, I'm going to pass it on now we are going to keep this running nice and smooth, so it's a good listen. I'm going to pass this on now to Brentford. Brentford in the house. Put it on him, Paul. Brentford, how are you feeling? Go on, go for it.
Well, I feel like all of the spotlight being on Newcastle and all of their injuries is a bit unfair to us. At one point of this season, we had the highest average number of players out through injury at any given point. So we've been absolutely riddled with it, unfortunately. And then we lost 3 key players to AFCON. Oh, I say 3. Brian got injured just before AFCON even started, so he didn't even get to go. We haven't had Ivan Toney for the majority of this season as well. And now he's come back and scored 3 goals in 4 games. So if he can hit the ground running and carry on, then I think the second half of the season is definitely going to be different to the first. Let's just say that I think we'll score a few more goals in this second half than we will in the first half. But we've had horrendous luck with injuries. I know it's typical and easy for everyone to say. We've had horrendous luck with injuries. And, I'm a bit jealous of that Bournemouth fan talking about the run they've got. I mean, our next 2 games are Liverpool at home and City away. So I think it might be a case of damage limitation and maybe snatch something if we're lucky in either one of those games. But given the size of our club and given where we are, I'm kind of grateful to still be here in the Premier League, and long shall it last, I hope.
No, it's interesting, like you say, hard fixtures, but you do feel that you're going to have some players coming back, and with Tony coming back, and obviously Mopé on form. Don't want to talk about Neil Mopé, but it does seem that you're feeling stronger going into the next game. So you're pretty confident. You're saying now you're confident in going to this battle.
Well, I'm quietly confident, often pessimistic. But I do think that there are games coming up. If we can get through the next couple, that we could pick up maximum points. And I don't see us being as near to the relegation zone at the end of the season as we are right now. So squeaky bum time, as they call it, for a little while, but we're moving away from it, I hope.
That's class, that's class. Right, so let's put it on. That's cracking. Let's put it on to Crystal Palace.
Good evening, all.
25-24, you're on Crystal Palace. Here we go. How are you feeling?
Well. It has been probably one of the toughest seasons as a club. Obviously, we decided to keep Roy on for another season after the heroics at the end of last season. Started off pretty okay. And then Eze's injury against Manchester United, Roy then went all-out defence. We then picked up further injuries with Chet Doucouré. Elise has been out full time, and it's been crazy. He's not trusted the youth. He keeps playing players like rushing them back, and we're just picking up more injuries. So Eze and Gay are out for another 3 weeks, I believe. Elise is out for another 2 months. It's been mad. The last 12 plus hours have given me hope. Now, I've been right out since Luton, to be honest. But first and foremost, I will say, get well soon, Roy Hodgson. Unfortunately, he fell ill during training today. It was actually the day he was going to have his press conference ahead of, obviously, the Everton game and announce that he's stepping down. It has been said by Fabrizio Romano, but we're waiting for, obviously, confirmation from the club that Oliver Glasner is going to be taking over our club. That is huge for us because no word of a lie, had Roy stayed in, I think we're getting relegated. We've now given ourselves a fighting chance, and it has to start on Monday night.
I know a lot of Everton fans was hoping that you kept Roy Hodgson before this game, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the manager bounce is like with you as well. But like you say, big shout out to Roy Hodgson. We all love him. He's a guy that you love, isn't he? And the job was becoming stressful for him. I would like for him to have been released a lot earlier. I did tweet that earlier on. I think he should have. Yeah. You could tell he's too much of a nice man to go through all the stress that it is in this relegation battle, as we'll know from the last 2 we've been in. So you're feeling more confident with this new manager then?
Yeah, I just think that the new manager probably will just have a bit more faith in the youth, because we're playing like 5-4-1s and we're having Chris Richards in midfield, Will Hughes in the number 10, Jeffrey Schlupp on the pitch. You know, it was just a mess. Funny enough, when Roy played a bit more of a progressive lineup on Monday against Chelsea, we looked a little bit better. Granted, we didn't win. But yeah, I don't think Glasner will be fully involved on Monday. So you Everton fans are all right. I reckon it might be Paddy McCarthy and Ray Lewington just for that game. But thereafter, Glasner will be ready because we got massive games. We've got Burnley at home. I think then Spurs away, then Luton at home. So those are key games.
Some massive games coming up. Like I say, it's for us. We feel the same as well. It is a big game, but you've got a lot more big games coming up. Injuries big on you though, like you said. Some of your best players out. Yeah. So we'll be getting your prediction later on. We'll be having you back on, and we'll move on now to. Is he in the house? Nottingham Forest. Has he come in yet, Paul? Or should we skip him till last?
No, not with us yet.
Not with us yet. Let's hit Luton Town. Luton Town. So Luton, this is interesting. How do you feel your season's been going? And how do you feel that it's going to go from now going into this big battle that we've got ahead of us?
I state every time I come on one of these that I'm having the time of my life in this league. And we've had some great results up until we got out Luton by Sheffield United at the weekend, who they did a fantastic game, and they did us. So up until that point, you know, that would have given us 13 points clear of Sheffield United and Burnley, and now it's not that big. We're doing all right. No one expected us to do this well, let alone be where we are, be the top of the first of the 3 promoted teams, getting some decent results, gone from you don't have a chance to, oh, actually, they may have a chance. So listen, as a supporter, I'm having a great time. Can we get out of it? Yeah, maybe. And you're reading out your fixtures. There's a crucial week for us when we do play Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, and who else do we play there? Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, and Forest in a week. In 10 days, we play those. That's our key week. It was disappointing to lose at the weekend, and I know Nick probably had a great time, watching the game. But it doesn't change our season losing to Sheffield United, because we need to beat the teams above us. We've still got to finish above those 2 that are below us already. So overall, we've had some great times. I've enjoyed 2 fantastic trips to Goodison Park this season, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the end. We've given ourselves a chance. Can we stay up? You know, as a fan, I want us to stay up, and I'm going to say that we're going to stay up. But you've got to be realistic, and realistically, it's going to be a real tough job for us. And we need that result. You know, like at the weekend when we play Manchester United, we need that result to go our way and have that first big win that we haven't had so far. But the rest of the season, I think we've done all right. And I don't care if we go down. We've gone down, but we've made a good fight of it. Unlike, sadly, I have to say this out loud, unlike Burnley at the moment, who seem to be disappearing off the face of the earth. Sheffield United started rough. They started rough with those 8-0s and 5-0s. Although I think I'm sure that Nick will say the same. That maybe Wilder has turned it around a bit. But I was hoping that we would drag Brentford in a couple of weeks ago, because I thought the Brentford situation at the time, I didn't think they were doing so well, because since they beat us, they went on a losing streak. And I was hoping that would continue, but it didn't. Palace, you're hoping they're going to come back down. And I disagree with the comment that's come on the screen. It doesn't all depend on the points deductions, because you know what? If we win, we'll be above that 3rd team. If we win our game in hand, we'll be above Nottingham Forest. If Forest don't get a point deduction, it's not a problem, is it? So, at the end of the day, if the points deductions come, I'll take it, 100% take it, and I'll love it, because I want to stay in this league. However, you've got to put the points deductions aside. You've got to get your team to make some ground on the teams above us. And those teams above us that I feel that we could probably catch at the moment is Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. I think Everton will be fine, personally. But so I'm having a great time. So the answer to your question is, this is a great season for me as a fan and for our club. It's been fantastic. If it comes on again, we'll love it more.
You are playing really well, to be fair. It's long may that continue. That's what you're thinking now, isn't it? Can we maintain what we are doing? Right, I'm going to move this on now. Thanks very much. We're going to get your predictions, and the predictions are going to be this is where it might get a bit nasty, because some of us are going to have some of us relegated here in the predictions. I'm going to chuck you on now, Paul. I'm going to let you represent Everton. I'm not going to say enough. We did it together. We've done our actual
now.
predictions together. Yeah, I'm going to put you on now to say how you feel the season's been going and how you feel what it's going to be like going into this big battle ahead of us. Games are going.
Yeah. Well, like Rich for Palace was saying before, like this season, last season, just absolute roller coaster. It's been ridiculous. Although, when we seem to start getting our feet together and start getting a run going, suddenly bam, and then we lose 3 or 4 on the bounce. So, I mean, lots of Evertonians are feeling that January wasn't a good month, but we were actually unbeaten in the league. So sometimes it's easy to kind of focus on the negative when we're all down there. But there have been positives. And I think from the fixtures coming up that we've got, I mean, obviously Palace Monday could go either way. Brighton after that, West Ham at home after that. So we're probably going to go up a little bit again, but then we've got the likes of United and Liverpool, so we'll go down a bit again. And then I think it's just going to be like that for us, is just trying to grab the wins, 2 or 3 on the bounce. And I think then we would be all right. I think most Evertonians feel as though we're going to be all right, whether we get the points back or not. But we'd certainly like some of them 10 points back, to be honest. And that's a whole nother story, to be fair. We're generally we're fairly happy, and we think we can do it.
I was just going to say, Paul, someone else mentioned it before as well. I honestly do believe that when we've all done our predictions, you can't think about the points, like the point deduction and stuff like that, you're going to get them back or not. I think we've got to go with what the table's like at the minute, because that is the table, and we don't know whether teams are going to get points back or points taken away from them. So I'm sure Forrest will feel the same when he's on. You've just got to deal with what you've got now. If you get points back, it's a bonus. Right, so I am going to put it on to Burnley now. I seen someone beefing you out just a minute ago. How are you feeling?
Well, everyone's been positive about the season, so it's time to bring it down, innit? No, do you know what? Last season's probably one of the best seasons I've seen us, in my lifetime. I've seen us get into Europe. I've seen us promoted 3 times now. 4 times now, but last season were the best it ever were. So this year it were never going to be as good as it were. But I don't think anyone in the Burnley fan base expected it to be as poor as it has been. There's still arguments ongoing between fans of who starts in net between Muric and Trafford. I'm personally Trafford in because Muric is just as bad. But, for the manager, Vincent Kompany, to win us the league at Ewood Park and, for us to do so well, for us now to be in February talking about sacking him, having only won 1 game at home all season, it's been poor, to be honest. But, it is what it is. We're down. We're going to go down, but it's one of them.
Do you not feel that it can click? Because I know some Burnley fans come at me at the start of the season, and they were saying that you're going to absolutely smash the season. And I said we currently been in 2 relegation battles at the time, and the Premier League's hard now. It's getting harder and harder. Do you feel that your players, you have still got sort of a lot of signings? You spent 100 million. Do you feel your players can come together to have a strong finish to get you out of this?
I think if obviously we've got Fofana's come in and he come off the bench against Fulham and got those 2 goals, and everyone was looking at his past record thinking, oh, this lad's got 2 goals in 17 for Union Berlin. He's not going to do it. What's he going to do to save us? But he's been a good signing. But then we found out today that Foster's out for a few weeks. They've said it's a muscle strain. Again, personally, don't believe it. I think it's to do with his mental health once again, which, you can't argue with it. You've got to look after the player at the end of the day and not the football. So yeah, losing him, I think that's going to be a big blow. Hopefully it's positive for next year in the Championship, because no one's going to want to take him on when he's missed half a season. But, I think that's detrimental to the rest of our season. We've got these 2 new young lads in defence in Assignon and Esteve. Again, I think they're brilliant signings, but we needed those in the summer rather than buying 5 different wingers from all over when we had Zarauri, Scott Twine and Benson who can play.
It's very hard to get your players to gel together. I think we're seeing that with Chelsea as well. You can buy loads of players, but they don't all perform to the best unless they've played together for a while. And you brought a lot of players to stay in the Premier League, but like you say, it's not easy to get them all playing the best they can play and linking up together as well. Thanks for that. We will get your prediction. We've got them all coming. We will move on to Sheffield United now. Let's get him on.
What everyone's come for.
Oh, dear. Get in the house. Go on, lad.
So, an absolute shocking start to the season. I've got a smile on my face, believe it or not, after the last game. Big up to Dave, by the way, because Luton have been fantastic this season. And, just one of those games where Chris Wilder got the better of Edwards. So, it's obviously been a terrible season, terrible start, really bad kind of pre-season as well, where we were trying to put together a squad of players that, after last season, obviously going up and Illuminati being our number 1 player that we look to for inspiration at any time, selling him 3 weeks before the start of the season, then selling Sander Berger, who's one of our other bigger players as well. It was always going to be difficult. We assembled almost every week, starting from the Palace first game of the season at Bramall Lane. Every week we signed another like marquee player, if you like. It just took them ages to gel. It didn't work under Paul Heckingbottom. Obviously, I think the owner wanted to give him a little bit more time. Maybe that wasn't the right thing to do because, we just could not kind of put any sort of results together. Couldn't put a run together at all. Chris Wilder came in and it looked a hell of a lot better. He came in first game against Liverpool where we were in the game all the way through. We've had a few games this season under Chris Wilder when we've looked like we could get points, and then it's just kind of been pulled away from us. Away at Aston Villa, we were 1-0 up until the very last seconds. Luton at home, that's when I think most Blades had really given up because we went from 1-0 down to 2-1 up to give away 2 own goals. We've had a lot of bad luck under Chris Wilder, but I think that watching the games, like ignoring all the stats, because we've been in pretty much every game under Chris Wilder other than the Villa at home game a couple of weeks ago. But we bounced back against Luton. We've got those 3 points. Obviously, the Burnley fan there is very, very gutted, but I'm actually buzzing to be on the same points as Burnley, however pathetic that sounds. But yeah, I still don't think we've got any chance of staying up. But obviously, there's been weirder things that have happened in the past, and all it takes is a couple of wins, and you never know. But yeah, I'm not for a second thinking that we've got a chance of staying up.
I think it shows that with your last game. You won that last game and it puts you straight back in contention level with another team. And then you start thinking, if we can get level with Burnley, then can we crack on and get away from this bottom 3? You've got to stay in the game, haven't you? I've always said this. You've got to stay in the game because you don't know in football. Results don't always go as they're supposed to go. If they did, all the bookies would be bankrupt, wouldn't they? Football is very unpredictable. I think we have, Paul. Thanks for that. We will get your prediction. These predictions are going to be interesting, by the way. We will get them to the fans to read all the predictions out. I think he's in the house, Paul Forrest. Nottingham Forest.
How's it going? The name's actually Chris, but first of all, I want
Here
to
he is.
apologise for being late. How are you doing, everyone? You all right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Yeah, grand. Yeah, just sorry, I've had an absolute nightmare getting back from work there. I'm in my niece's room right now. The internet's mad. Much like Forest in the last 2 or 3 seasons, it's been crazy. Yeah, in terms of the season so far, I mean, it's been absolutely mad, really. Like, we still don't know where we stand, just like Everton. I kind of feel sorry for Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield United because they don't know where they stand either. The Premier League have made a bit of a mess of it. If you're going to give us deduction, just go ahead and give it. Cooper, our main man, went somewhere towards Christmas. And Nuno came in, had a bit of a manager bounce, and now all of a sudden it's sort of gone to crap a little bit. So yeah, I'm. I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I'm not confident. Somehow we're still outside the relegation zone. But every game, as you know, from 12th, 13th onwards to the bottom of the table, every game for everyone is an absolute battle. And I suppose that's what makes the Premier League special is like in the Championship, you can lose one or draw one and you still feel you're in with a shout. But then all of a sudden in the Premier League, if you do lose one, it's a big deal. If you do win one, it's a huge deal. So yeah, it's been a special season and a half, but it's been just an absolute whirlwind, much like my arrival.
You talked about the point deduction. I said before you come on, you probably the same as me. Until anything happens, you just got to go with what the table is at the minute and what points you're on. Do you feel confident going into this rest now, the rest of the battle? Do you feel confident with your team? Do you feel strong you can stay up?
Yeah, ish. No, it's like if we had Cooper, I knew he was firefighting stuff last season, and by the back end of the season, he had put a good run together and it kept us up. With Nuno, I think he's a good manager. I just don't know. I don't know with these players. We can score goals. Gibbs White, Alanga, Taiwo, Hudson-Odoi are all great going forward for us. The problem is we concede for fun from set pieces mostly. We've got Ward-Prowse swinging in some free kicks and corners this weekend. That's going to be great crack. No, I don't know. I think if we don't get the deduction, we'll just stay up. If we do get the deduction, we're probably gone. And that's kind of that's where I've got my mindset right now. You know.
Very interesting. We're all 50-50, ain't we? We are all 50-50. I'm going to drop some music on now. And what we are going to do while this music's gone, if you can all just drop some retweets on the stream. If you can like the stream as well, I always forget to say this, but if you can like it, it puts it about, I feel this is a cracking show for people, what they probably want, all the fans together. I mean, we all know what the bubble's like in our own team, the bubble of Everton, the bubble of our own team, or the bubble of Sheffield United. We know what our fans think and what we think, but we don't know what the other fans think of their team. So I've got you all together now. So if you can all drop retweets and likes on the stream, and if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, because we have only been going 1 year, but we are doing pretty well on getting some good shows going. So, right, let's do this then. I'm not even going to drop the music, but let's do this. This is the predictions of the bottom 9. So, all the way down. Paul, should we start with Fulham again? Stick with the same order so we can go through them again. This is going to be a cracker. So, who is going to be in the bottom 3? It's going to be interesting to see whether we all think the same or whether it's different. By the way, people, we have got the banner across the bottom. If we've done this right, the banner across the bottom should say their prediction after they've read it. So just in case you don't know what they've said, the banner along the bottom will say what prediction Russ thinks of the bottom 9. There we go. Russ, go for it. Tell us about your prediction, mate. Starting from the top one, 12.
Okay, so it's not that I have anything against Wolves. I just think that Wolves are going to drop a little bit. I think my club is going to go forward. And I actually think Fulham have a chance to get to the top 10. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but I think that Wolves are going to drop. That's why I'm predicting them for 12th. Brentford, I think, are going to be fine. They're going to be 13th. I don't see much movement there. Bournemouth, I have at 14th. Crystal Palace, I think, will be okay. That's why I have them at 15th. You guys host an Everton show. I want Everton to stay in the league, so I am predicting 16th for Everton. And I do think my friend who is a Nottingham Forest supporter, I think you will survive, and I am got you at 17. I do have the three promoted clubs being relegated: Luton Town, Burnley, and Sheffield United. But I want to say this, that it's an accomplishment to get to the league, and I don't wish relegation on anyone. And I am loving the story of Luton Town. I would love to see them survive. I've got nothing against Burnley. In fact, I think Burnley is going to be a big success story in 2 to 3 seasons if they stick with a manager. I like that story. And Sheffield United came up too soon, but I do like Wilder back there. Anything can happen. I don't wish these 3 teams to be relegated. It's just my prediction.
Thank you, Russ. That is Russ's prediction on how it's going to go with the bottom 9 teams this season. He has Luton, Burnley in the bottom. Let's get Bournemouth. Let's hear your predictions on Bournemouth. It's hard to. I get what you're saying though, Russ. It is hard to put a team down. Me and Paul did ours together, and some teams you secretly want them to stay up, but you've got to be honest on these predictions and say actually how you think it's going to go. Right. So let's get them on the screen. Here we go.
Right, here we go. So I don't think Wolves will actually drop into this mix at all. I've got to say that. I think, the 9 of us are going to be in it till the end. I think Fulham, are without a doubt the side who are probably going to finish top of the 9 though. I think at the weekend, although we were poor, Fulham were good. So I think, they will be absolutely fine. We've got that run coming up, though, and that is going to be vital. I think that we will be in full flow at that point as well. I think, the FA Cup game coming up, that's going to be a godsend for us. And I think Iriola, he's gone from the pass and being picked off like he did against Everton earlier on in the season. Sorry, guys, to mention that. I didn't think particularly you were that great, but I think, we were just terrible that day. So I think he's got it together, being a bit more direct as well. So I think we'll be fine. Brentford be absolutely fine, I think, as well. Some good quality players. Tony coming back is key. Don't particularly like what he said about, the club and, but I think, he will definitely get them the goals to be clear. 15th, I think Luton will go on a little bit of a run. And I do honestly think Luton will be absolutely fine this season. Likewise, will you guys as well? I've agreed with Russ here. And in fact, I spoke to a chap called Mike Gow on my show, not plugging here, but I did speak to him. He is an Everton fan, and he made some very, very good points. The actual show was actually about the Reading situation, and the points he was making was because of the Everton situation. That's why the market just completely dried up in the January window. I didn't actually think of that, but that's not what the Premier League want, and I think you will get the points back. I honestly do. I think you'll get the majority of the points back. You might get a couple deducted, as will Forest, but I think you should get the 10 back. You can't punish Everton and not punish Man City and Chelsea. I'm sorry, you can't do it. Everton have got 1 charge. Man City and Chelsea have got, Man City have got 115, and Chelsea, they've been corrupt for some years. So say no more on that front. My bottom 3, I'm sorry to my friend Rich here, to put Crystal Palace in the bottom 3, but this was based on Roy Hodgson. And of course, wish Roy the very, very best. He's been a great manager throughout the years. Is it time to maybe take a rest and a break from football and go back to being a fan? Let's be honest, it probably is. Not that we want to see that, but I think that's probably the way it's going to go. And I did think with the Elise injury, and we actually said this earlier on in the season, me and Rich, it just seems like when Eze's out, Elise, is just playing. Those two together are fantastic. but they haven't really played together this season, and that's why I think, and that's why I've put Palace in the bottom three. But that might change. Ask me again in a couple of weeks when this new manager's really got himself, sorted and everything going. It could well be a different story. I'm sorry to Sheffield United and Burnley. Burnley remind me of what we were like early on in the season. Pass, 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 pass. Lovely football, but lovely football doesn't really keep you in the Premier League. So I'm sorry about that. And Sheffield United, I got to agree, should have got rid of Heckingbottom well before you did. Chris Wilder will make a fist of it. He'll make a go of it, but it's just too late. It's too late and too far behind.
That's cracking. That is. It's interesting as well that even the bottom two. I keep looking at the bottom two, whether people have got who they've got as a bottom two, because some will have Sheffield United, some will have Burnley, and yours is different. There, it is different. You put a mix in there. You've gone Luton hardcore there, haven't you? It's an interesting one.
I honestly think when they, and of course it was an awful situation when Luton come down here. Luton were excellent that day, and then of course what happened to Tom Lockyer happened. You could hear a pin drop at Dean Court. It was one of those moments that you never want to be in the stadium for. It was just horrible. It was just horrible. But at the same time, they're fighting. Yep, they got beat last weekend against Sheffield United. Again, I think Wilder's getting Sheffield United fighting. Can't honestly say the same about Burnley, unfortunately. But I think Luton will be fine. Ross Barkley is going to be key. And of course, Ross Barkley got the Everton connections there. He's going to be key.
Keeping him fit. Thanks very much. I'll go back to Russ to give his channel a shout out. I'm going to do this while we're on you. Give yourself a shout out, your channel and your name, and put yourself out there, and then we'll move on to the next team.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much for having me on here. So the channel is called UTC IAD, Up the Cherries in All Departments, it stands for. So we got lots of previews. We've had interviews. In fact, Everton fans, if you want to watch with ocean colour scenes, Damon Minchella, head over. Had an interview with him on there as well. So that was really, really interesting. Harry Redknapp's a regular. We even spoke to Peter Hooton from The Farm, of course, all together now. But you'll be surprised by this. It's a song that I always associate with Everton. They're Liverpool fans. I didn't know that. But yeah, do head over. And I do ask for the first time. I ask them for the first time because I've never heard it asked before. What they felt by Everton having that song for the 1995 FA Cup final, which, funny enough, I was at.
Well, jump on in there. Some interesting stuff.
Bournemouth in the pre-match.
Yeah. Yeah. So
can you put it on back to Russ for 2 seconds, Paul? Let him give his channel a shout out as well, Russ. Tell him where they can find him as well. I just think we're going to do that. Give Russ, if he's still in, or has he had to shoot off, Russ? There he is. Russ, give your podcast a shout out, mate.
No, we just throwing him back in.
Yeah, hi. Please check me out on Cottage Talk. It's a podcast all about Fulham. We're on YouTube, and you can actually follow the podcast on X on Cottage Talk. Please feel free to check that out, and I'm happy to be part of the Talk Sport Fan Network. So please do check it out.
That's cracking. Right, let's move on. I just feel we've got to give you a shout out because you're all amazing for coming on tonight. And this is one of the best shows we've had on Toffee Bluecast. So we'll give you a shout out with your predictions now, the way we're going to go through it. Let's put it on. Brentford, let's see your bottom 9 predictions. Brentford.
So,
where are you, Brentford?
There
you go.
So first things first, just want to say something on what the Bournemouth fan, great name, Craig, has also said. about Ivan Toney. Yeah, he's got kind of a split personality with the way that he plays. He's an incredible footballer, on the pitch, and I don't think. Now, this is obviously an incredibly biased thought, but there's no other player like him out there. The way he works off the ball, you obviously pick your Harry Kane's, your Erling Haaland's over him in front of goal, but he's the best striker, arguably one of the best ever players that's played for our magnificent football club. Off the pitch, he doesn't seem like a great guy. Around the football club, he's had a lot to say, and there's a lot of social media around what he's done. But if it weren't for his goals, we wouldn't be in the Premier League for starters. So credit where it's due. He scores a lot of goals, but I wish he'd keep his mouth shut sometimes. On to the prediction. So, like I said, a bit jealous of Bournemouth one, and I think that's what's going to do it for them. They're going to kind of be up there with the best of the rest, top of the bottom half, shall we say. And as a Brentford fan, I couldn't put us below Fulham, I'm afraid. So we are in 13th. I think I've put us in 13th. Yeah. We've got a couple of difficult games coming up. Like I said, we've got Liverpool and City. And then we travel to West Ham, which is an incredibly big game for us, given the run of fixtures we've got. Once we get into March and April, we've got a run of fixtures, which includes Luton, Sheffield United, Fulham, Everton, Bournemouth, which is where we need to be picking up our points. And if we can pick up those points there, that'll see us comfortably away from that relegation zone. Fulham 14th. Ross, you're a great guy, mate, but I'm afraid you couldn't be put above us. I couldn't do it to myself or any other Brentford fan out there. So you're 14th. And I'm sure, if I'm being honest with myself, that you will be out of this bottom 9 and into the top 10, unfortunately. I say with a heavy heart. Palace. Rich is right. I think this new manager coming in is going to really change the team. And if he can use the youth in the way that he's saying, then they'll be perfectly fine. And Luton, they just have something about them. They have that spark, and they remind me of us in our first season in the Premier League, where we finished 13th, and we just had that little knack about us of getting points in big games and vital games, and then going and losing like they did to Sheffield United. So I see them doing it. And I think Everton are going to stay up. They're going to be that team that stay up. I just think that they always manage to do it. Dice ball will keep any team in the Premier League. And Everton, Nottingham Forest might not be very happy with me saying this, but Everton are a far too big a club to be in the Championship. Nottingham Forest, sorry guys, you're my third team to go down alongside Burnley and Sheffield United. I just think that 7-point gap for those two teams is far too much, even at this point of the season. And I just see teams above the relegation zone picking up extra points between now and the end of May. So Forest, I do apologise to you guys, but I just think that the way things are going at the moment, other teams around us and other teams around you are just going to be picking up too many points for you to be able to keep up with them. But all the best to all the teams. And good luck to everyone.
So you got Burnley and Sheffield United after Forest. So it's Forest, Burnley and Sheffield United you've got going down. Right, do you want to give your channel a shout out, mate? I know you come on last minute and filled in.
Yes. Yeah, of course. So Mike, he is the host, main host, but I do that one as well. So we are at the Ealing Road pod on Instagram and at Ealing Road on Twitter. We talk all things Brentford. We do a lot of pre-match chats with opposition, as well as match reviews with myself, Mike, and a couple of the others as well. We do like to fill in those extra game days with little fun bits and bobs, like a recent tier list of players that we think are club legends and maybe people we don't want involved with the club anymore. So give us a visit, give us a like, a subscription, and enjoy all the videos.
Get on it, people. Get on it. Right, Paul, let's move on to the next one. These predictions are all different as well. Really interesting. Crystal Palace now.
Yeah, the Everton fans are not going to be happy. First things first, I am going to say that I did put Palace down up until today. Before I set these predictions off, I had us as 17th. No, 18th, in fact. Because I just felt like Roy Hodgson was going to take us down. Obviously, we're just waiting for confirmation that Oliver Glasner's taking over, and I think that's just a little bit of a boost we needed. But let's get through this. Fulham 12th. They've kind of just been steady all season, really. Bournemouth, even though they're having a bit of a blip, I think they'll still be okay. Brentford, I think Tony and now Wisa coming back. I believe you said Mbuemo's going to be back soon as well. That's huge. So I think he'll be okay. The only reason I put us 15th is, like I said, the change of manager. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, we'll be 18th. I've always said that Luton will stay up. Even like when they were losing games quite heavily at the start, I just said there was something about them, so I'm going to stick to my guns with Luton. Now, here's where it was a bit difficult. And I even said this to Dan. It was the Forest and Everton one. I just wasn't sure. So the only reason I went for Forest over Everton was just because of their front four. No tactical thing, nothing like that. I just generally thought it was just their front four that may just get them a few more goals than Everton might get in games. I'll probably eat my words, but this is what predictions are for. And
you did say to me when you messaged me,
yeah,
I've got you. I said, don't worry, go with what you think. Just because it's Toffee Bluecast is hosting this channel. If you've got us down,
you did say that.
You stick with us down, and you've gone for Nottingham Forest staying up, and like you've just touched on, their attackers you feel are scoring more goals than us. So you've got to be honest on these predictions, because we'll probably come back to them at the end of the season and have a review on how it's gone, and get you all on the show and see how it's gone. Yeah, carry on then. Sorry. So you've got Everton,
and then the bottom two, Burnley and Sheffield United. I just think the points gap at the moment is just too big. I know we've obviously, if you've touched on Heckingbottom staying in the job for too long. I'm thinking the same about Company. Should they have bitten the bullet early? I know he's the manager he is. He can attract certain players, and they have attracted quite a few players. But the Premier League is a nasty piece of work. Like, if you can't get going, you have to make changes. And that's the problem we faced as well. We kept right for too long, and that, I think that still could be a problem for us going into these final, 13 games. So yeah, there's my predictions.
Thank you for those predictions. Give your channel a quick shout out, and then we'll move on. We will get through this quick on these predictions and push through them. Interesting there. People got us in. I think that's the first one that's had us in, isn't it? That's interesting. Right, let's give your channel a shout out, mate. What channel?
So that's Eagle Eyed Football on YouTube. Crystal Palace content. And don't worry, we're stressing as much as you guys are. It's not going to be nice.
I've seen you shorts, mate. You know what I mean? You are stressing as well.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
I appreciate you.
Right, let's move on to Nottingham Forest now. It's funny because some people are hearing that they've got them down before they're coming on now. So Nottingham Forest, on to Nottingham Forest, Paul.
So with this prediction, I think it's more based on no more deductions or even Everton winning an appeal. Okay, that's just what I'm going to go with. If the deductions will swing it one way or the other. I don't even think Forest can afford a 2-point deduction, let alone a 6-point deduction at this rate. But I have Brentford in at 12th. I think they're a good team. I think they have an identity. I think they have a good coach. They always seem to win some big games along the way. I just think that they'll start to flourish now towards the back end of the season. They'll feel less pressure because I think they already know they're probably not down, and I think that they'll be absolutely fine. Fulham in at 13th. The quality they have in their side, Paulinho, Pereira, this new guy Muniz has come in. Life without Mitrovic is okay. I think you're going to be absolutely fine. Bournemouth, I hate to say it, but very similar to Brentford. They've sort of found an identity under the manager. They're playing good football. Even when their backs against the wall, we played them in Bournemouth and we only drew 1-1. They find ways to get goals. They got an early set piece against us recently. I think they'll be okay. Palace, they've been playing some awful football, and they're missing players and their manager's now gone. But I think that with their fixtures coming up now, the next few fixtures until April 6th against Man City are actually fairly favourable. I think they can pick up points. And by the time it gets to April, I think they'll be out of it. Everton, I have Everton surviving because Dyche, knows how to keep teams up. We've seen it a million times before. Burnley fans will know well. I think Dyche just knows how to grind out results. And I think he'll keep you up. So yeah, Everton survive. Without the deduction, Forest will survive. I hope, I think, I pray. I think if we can just sort our defense out, we'll be okay. We're scoring goals, but we are in a bad run of form, and we really do struggle against the lower table teams. We seem to get wins against Chelsea, Villa, Man U, Newcastle, but like we can't beat anyone else. Luton, been very plucky, and I applaud them this season. They've been brilliant. I think they will survive if Forest get a deduction. If not, I think they'll just go down. But what's important to note is Luton now have Man U, Liverpool, and Villa next. 3 really tough games. In between that's a Man City FA Cup game. It all depends on what Everton, Forest, and Palace do in those next few games. If we pick up points and Luton fall behind, they might struggle to build their confidence back up. So the next 3 games are crucial for Luton. Burnley, I have it 19th. I think they have a tough run in. Man United, Spurs, Newcastle. I think they have a tough run in, and I think that they just won't survive it. I know they're a bit far behind now as well. Sheffield United, unfortunately, I've bought them. But I thank Sheffield United for getting 13 points, because it still leaves Derby as the worst team ever in the Premier League. So thank you for doing that, Sheffield United. And I wish you and Bernard Diaz all the best. And we just about beat you at home. It was like desperate last minute stuff. So fair play to you. Fair play to you all. I wish you all the best.
Interesting? Do you find it interesting that a lot of, so far when we're going through that, because I'd like to say the predictions are all different. Do you find it interesting that a lot have got Luton staying up?
Not really, because they have been plucky and they're outside the relegation zone as we speak. So, and the way they're playing with absolutely no fear, and you have to respect that. It was like Forest towards the back end of last season, or some other clubs I've seen stay up. They're playing with no fear. I just think the bubble will burst if they lose to United this weekend and Liverpool, and then all of a sudden, if other teams start to pick up points, they won't be able to claw their way back. But no, I think they're a shout to stay up, definitely ahead of us right now on form anyway. But it just, I had to. I'm not going to put my own team in the relegation zone just yet.
Cracking channel you've got. Give your channel a shout out, mate. Cracking channel. Where can they find you?
So we're just an audio podcast, but we're Forest all over. For Forest all over the world fans, so we get different fans from different parts of the world on who are Forest fans, and it's basically just me and my 2 best friends who hate each other but love Forest. We just argue all the time, unfortunately. And that's basically that's the premise of it. It's find us at NFFC all over on Twitter, or at Forest all over on Instagram, or you go to forestallover.com. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, and thanks everyone else. You've been great. Sorry for being late.
Cracking, mate. Cracking. Don't worry about that. Right, we will move on to Luton now. Luton. We was just talking about them then. A lot of people are behind Luton. Seems to be a lot of soft spots for Luton here. They've got them staying up. Probably got a smile on his face when we put him on the screen now. Let's get your predictions on the screen.
I smile all the time. Listen, guys, I was quite surprised that I haven't seen Luton in the bottom 3 all the time. And like everyone else, I'm not putting my team in them because I want them to stay up. That's the first thing I'm going to say to you. However, I looked at the table. I tried to avoid the points deduction thing. I know, obviously, at the moment, the table is with Everton's points deduction. But ignore Nottingham Forest one, because I don't think it's important. I think what we need to think about is, can my team finish above those guys? So I've got Brentford in 12 because I think they picked up form recently, and Bournemouth. It could have been either way. Brentford, Bournemouth, and Fulham for me in those positions. It could have been any way up for those 3, because I do think they're good enough to keep away from it. And then 15th, 14th, and so 15th, 16th, and 17th. I put Palace, Everton, and Luton because I don't want to put Luton in 18th. I'm being honest, but I just think Palace, they might just get that little jog on when Roy's gone and the new guy comes in. Sad for me to say, I think Burnley are gone. I generally think Burnley are gone. I think they should have got rid of Company a lot earlier. In fact, they should just get rid of him, but they won't, will they? Because he's got that reputation from Man City as Pep Guardiola's lad, isn't he? And I think that's why they haven't got rid of him. And they haven't been, last season in the Championship, they were dominant. And Nick would know this. You couldn't get anywhere near them. They won by an absolute streak, and you expected them to sort of move on from there, but they didn't. So I think they're going. Sheffield United, They might be on a bit of a run right now, but I don't know if it's too much for them. And genuinely, if Luton win their game in hand, we'd officially be above Nottingham Forest without any points deduction right now. So I'm just going to go with that. For the same reason, though, I can't put myself in the relegation zone because I don't want it to happen. So they're my predictions. I hope it's right. Craig mentioned the Bournemouth fixture. And we've got to play Bournemouth twice. And we're going back their place soon. But if anyone's... He mentioned Tom Lockyer, by the way. And Luton will be releasing a very special, like 15-minute doco, 15 minutes. It's really moving. I've seen it. And it's all about that incident at Bournemouth's ground and Tom Lockyer. And if you haven't seen it, it's such a good watch. So go for that and have a good look at that. That'd be good. But so there we are. I'm thinking Everton have got too much to not, get away from this. Points deduction or not, I think Everton can get stronger and they can move out of the place they're in at the moment. And, like it's already been mentioned, our next few fixtures are horrendous. Liverpool, Manchester United, Villa, Man City in between that. But then we got a crucial week the week after that. So after all those, we have a crucial week where we play Nottingham Forest, Brentford and Crystal Palace, within a week, So those are the ones that are going to define our season. And we just need that one result that pushes up. So these are, I sat down today and thinking, do I ignore the points deduction? I think it's a very hard thing to predict right now. I'm sorry to Burnley and Sheffield United and Forest, really, because, I've got nothing against any of those teams. I just hope that I'm right. That's all I hope, I'm right.
It's going to be, me and Paul, when we did our predictions, it's going to be a very, very tight battle. Right, your channel, give your channel a shout out.
Yeah, we're Owen the Town. We're on YouTube, Spotify, any place you can get your audio podcasts. We just generally chat about the games after they've been on. Occasionally we'll do a preview, but mostly chat about the games afterwards. And it's all a bit live. It's all good. So Owen the Town on YouTube is the best place to get us.
There we go. Give him a follow and get on his stuff. Right. Here we go. I was going to do this, but I'm putting it over to you, Paul. This is yours. Get you on the big screen. Everton. We did these predictions together, though, didn't we, Paul, to be fair? And we had a little debate because I'm a bit more positive.
I'm glad you said that.
I wanted to have us top four, but I had to calm down on this because I always see the best happening. I could see us winning every game from now, but we had to be serious on this. Right, Paul, go for it.
We did, yeah. Fulham, I think, have got enough both ends of the pitch to stay mid-table, and Brentford for the same reason. Tony's obviously scoring enough goals, and they've got a decent manager in there as well. So I don't see Fulham or Brentford sort of dropping into it. We did have a good chat about those three or four teams then, and including Luton in this as well, actually, because fixtures-wise, we're kind of a mix. Luton, although they've got a couple of tricky ones, their last kind of 6 fixtures aren't too bad for them if they wanted to get any points. So I think Forest does, Bournemouth especially, have got a bit of a mix of fixtures. Bournemouth's got some shocking games towards the end of the season. So I just think the difference that we mentioned was we said about scoring goals, but also Everton surviving, apart from us not having put Everton in the bottom 3 because we couldn't do that. I think defensively we're strong enough. Normally it's about the teams that just score enough goals, but because our defence has performed so much better than the teams around us, even though we maybe not scored as many goals, I think that might be the thing to see us through, to be honest. Whereas I think, like, a lot of you guys are playing each other. A lot of it might be gung-ho and let's just try and score more than the other side. Could sort of have some cracking games in the last 6, to be honest. So we think Forest 14th, Everton 15th. Bournemouth, I do worry for Bournemouth just in those last 6 fixtures. But they should have enough. Palace as well. If the 2 young lads can get back in the side before the end of the season, I think they've got a good chance of keeping up. But it was a bit of a toss up, really, because we do think Luton, plucky is the word I heard before. they are plucky, definitely, but they are scoring. I just think the defence will just kind of not be strong enough in those last few games just to keep them up. So Luton, unfortunately, 18th, and Sheffield United and Burnley. I think someone alluded to it before, and it happened a lot when we played Burnley away. Was that Burnley under Company want to play the ball out from the back? We did that a lot, and it's got us in trouble quite a lot of time. Dyche ball has kind of sodded that off, to be honest, and we are a bit more confident for it. So well on Burnley for keeping to their principles, but in this season it might be just to their detriment. Really, it might well pay dividends in the next 2 or 3 seasons, but I think that's probably the reason, and not scoring goals up the other end. That will be 19th and 20th. So there you go.
Interesting that a lot of people said Burnley should have probably changed the manager a bit earlier and gone a bit more simple football, direct like us, but they are sticking to the guns. Interesting on that one. We was Luton. Only reason we had Luton there, by the way, is because we did say I can see Barkley getting injured. A couple of key players. It's injuries are going to be interesting, ain't they? But if they keep that team fit that they've got at the minute, they are really playing well. Even against the big teams, they're giving them good competition. I think they should have beat the shite Liverpool, but it was very unlucky not to beat them. Right, so let's get on to Burnley predictions. 2 more left. Here we go. These are very interesting.
Well, so I'll start off with Bournemouth in 12th, Brentford 13th, Fulham 14th. Feel them 3 very interchangeable. Any could have been in any position. I just feel like Bournemouth are just slightly too good enough to be dropping down into that, and I could personally see them even stepping up into 11th, maybe even 10th. But I wanted to go with the teams that we've got here. Brentford, Ivan Toney coming back. He's scoring goals for fun at the minute. I love Thomas Frank. I think he's a brilliant manager, so I think they'll be absolutely fine. Fulham, when we played them at the Turf other week, they were very unlucky to come away with only a point. The first half, they should have been 4 or 5-0 up, and there should have been no chance of us getting anything back from that. So, yeah, they're finishing 14th. 15th, I've got you guys, Everton, Dyche, Tarks, McNeil, all 3 of them. Dyche will keep you up. He's too good for that. We always said when he were at Burnley, if our owners would invest properly and give him the money, that he would have done so much better for us. And I think now he's a club where you've got a little bit more of that money. You've got those players that we wish we'd had when we had Dyche. You'll be absolutely fine. And I think, like you say, Dyche ball, it's not pretty to watch, but he'll get the results for you. So yeah, there's no need to worry about that. Even if this point deduction comes in, you'll be absolutely fine. 16th, I've got Palace. Again, this was all done whilst Roy was still there. Obviously, best wishes for Roy. Hope everything's okay, and we wish him all the well. But yeah, Palace will be absolutely fine. I just think that they will start to lose a bit of form, over the next few days, next few games. Then I've got Luton in 17th. I think Luton are, as everyone said, I can only echo what everyone said about how good they've been this season. Everyone loves an underdog story, and I think Luton have been that underdog story this year. They remind me very much of us the second time we came under Dyche, where we just managed to stay up. But they've got that talent and they've got that quality that we didn't have at the time. So yeah, Luton, you'll be absolutely fine. I'm glad you're enjoying it, because even last season I wanted you guys to come up with us, because I knew it would just wind up a lot of the Premier League, and I'm really glad that you're here, and I hope you're enjoying it for the rest of it. I've got Forest in 18th again, only because it was between them and Luton, but I think Luton have just got enough just to stay up. us in 19th because we are absolutely shocking, and I cannot see where we're going to get another point for the rest of the season. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Saturday after Arsenal putting 6 past West Ham. I could see this being double figures at the weekend. And then, unfortunately, I've got Sheffield United bottom because if we can beat you 5-0, I'm sorry, you're going to finish below us. But it's a close one. I can't put us bottom of the league. The only reason you guys are there is because we beat you at home this season. But again, I wish you all the best, and I hope that next year it's between us and you for the top 2 in Championship.
It's cracking to hear from different fans what they're actually thinking about their own team, because it's stuff you wouldn't normally know. We only stick to our own fan base. Give your channel a shout out, or yourself a shout out if you're not on a channel. I know I got passed you over. Speaker. Give yourself a shout out.
I'm Andrew, always Claret. I do mainly on Twitter and Instagram, graphic design, a lot of Burnley edits, starting to look at doing other teams. So if you want one doing, drop us a message. I'm more than happy to do it. I just won't do a Blackburn one. Looking to start a podcast as well in next couple of weeks with always under the name Always Claret, just because obviously, like I said, this season's been crap. Everyone's on a downer. I want to bring people back up, so I'm starting to look at the good times that we've had over the years and look back at those, look at the top 10 players, that we've had and best matches that we've had and best goal that you've seen, because this season's been crap. So if we can't enjoy that, let's look back and enjoy it.
Cracking. Get behind him on when he starts up the channel and stuff like that. So we're about positive vibes. I'm all about that. I think your fans do need positivity, because there's always a load of negativity out there, but positivity is hard to find. That's what we try and put out there. Some don't like it, but we stick to being positive, because negativity will get you nowhere. Right, let's get Sheffield United up.
I'm so glad I was on mute when Andrew was talking then right at the end, to be honest. I love how you said you're not going to pick up another point for the rest of the season, but we're still going to finish lower than you. One thing that I will say is the last time when we played Burnley in the last 5-0, we are a completely different side to that. Yeah. So, as you can see on screen, a little bit further down, we are definitely going to finish above Burnley. Anyway, so we'll start from the beginning. I'll be honest, I've not watched a lot of Premier League football this season. I don't know if everybody else is the same as me, but when we are terrible, I just can't watch any football whatsoever. So if I get some of these wrong, I do apologise. I've been depressed for a lot of this season, especially in the early parts.
Rick, you've got us as high as 13.
Wow, Rich, I think it's just because I liked you tonight. I asked them to change it. To be honest, I think this is a little bit of biasy towards when we played you guys, and Eze and Elise just absolutely love how they play. And I know they've had injury problems and stuff, but I think I might have been a little bit drunk when I wrote that one. But let's start from the top. Fulham, way too good for this for this video, I think, in my opinion. Yeah, Palace, I might have been a little bit too high with them. Bournemouth, fair play to Bournemouth, fully fledged Premier League team again, which fair play to them, because everybody, I think, were writing them off at the start of this season as well, thinking they were going to be in the bottom 3. Again, Bournemouth came to Bramall Lane and absolutely tore us apart. So, some very exciting players there that'll keep them up. I think that Brentford would have been third bottom if it wasn't for the Ivan Toney return. I've got to say it. I think that he's given him a massive, massive lift, not just with how good he is in front of goal and his movement and everything like that, but I think it's just given everybody a bit of a lift. I know obviously off the pitch is a bit of a, I don't know what the word is to use, but some of the things that he says shouldn't really be said. I think they'll stay up just on that. Forest, Everton, Luton. I cannot pick one, and I'm sorry, Dave. I honestly don't think that Luton will go down. I don't know why I said that I think they will. I don't think they will. It might have been recency bias with us beating you at the weekend, but I want Luton to stay up. I really want Luton to stay up. And if it wasn't for, because I think that if we've got any chance of staying up, we need to finish higher than Luton. So I can't stand here and say I want Luton to stay up, because that would mean that we would be going down. So if we are definitely going down, I want Luton to stay up. But I think it's all up in the air, obviously, with all these points deductions and stuff. But I've gone Forest, Everton, and then obviously Luton, us, and Burnley. But yeah, like I said, those three, I think they're going to be battling it out for third bottom. I think we're better than Burnley. I think that we've got we'll go on a much better run than Burnley for the rest of the season. But I just don't think it's anywhere near enough to even finish third bottom. Never mind fourth bottom. But after the way that it started, obviously. Forest fans said earlier on that we've surpassed Derby's terrible points tally of 11, which we were all celebrating, which is again absolutely pathetic. But at the same time, it's nice to get that out of the way. And yeah, I'd just be happy not to finish bottom. In all honesty.
Cracking, yeah.
Good lad.
I
was just going to mention there about Tom Davis. Tom Davis and Mason Holgate. What are your thoughts?
I don't know why we've done it to ourselves, to be honest. In all honesty, I think Tom Davis is a lovely little player. Too injury prone though, so we've not seen him all season. I think we've probably seen him for overall about 60 minutes across the whole season with lots of injuries. Mason Holgate, I cannot understand why we signed him, but it looks like he's good at playing out from the back. He's good with the ball at his feet. I just don't know if his defensive work's going to be good enough. But look, is what it is. He's only on loan until the end of the season. We might end up trying to sign him. I don't know. But yeah, neither of them I'm too enamored with, if I'm honest, guys.
You haven't come up and done like spent loads of money, gone down and wasted it though, have you? I think you have signed some decent players where for me, you would be a team that if you did go down, you'd be straight back up. I think you've not wasted loads of money when you come up. You've been sensible. Doesn't seem like you've gone all in and spent loads of money and said we've got to stay up. It seems like you've tried to make a half decent team, and if you stay up, you stay up, and if you don't, you're definitely going up the next season. And going to try and make it even stronger next season and build on what you go down with. That's the way I see Sheffield United at the minute. I don't know if you agree on that.
Yeah, I do. We've not gone silly. We're not breaking the bank. We could have. The thing was, we have gone silly in the past when we've thought that we were a fully fledged Premier League club, signing Sander Berger, signing Ryan Brewster, going a bit crazy with money. I think we were a little bit in over his heads at that point, and that's what's made us struggle financially in the last few years. We went into a transfer embargo last year as well. So I think it was about taking the money, banking it, obviously trying to bring in some good players that's hopefully going to do well in the Premier League. But if we do go down, like you say, then they will do well in the Championship because they've done it before. Yeah, I think with Chris Wilder at the helm as well, if we do go down, I think we've got as good a chance of anyone as going straight back up. He understands the club. He knows what we want from our players. And yeah, like you say, we've got a really, really top end Championship side with a few players dotted in there that should really have done better in the Premier League this season. I think it's probably because of a bit of Paul Heckingbottom, a bit of not quite having the team ready at the start of the season to kick on. So yeah, a lot of other factors in there. But like you say, I'm if we do go down, when we do go down, should I say, I think we're looking good to come back up.
Cracking. Right, I have put a lot of effort to get everyone on, and I don't know how I've managed to pull it off because the amount of DMs I've been sending on Twitter. And thanks all for coming on. I feel we've put a cracking show on for you because I always, as Toffee Bluecast, we always say, what can we do that's not about on YouTube? What can we put together? And to bring all 9 teams that are in this position together, or fans from all the 9 teams together, you wouldn't know what. It's been really interesting. You wouldn't know what we're all thinking, but it's cracking. And I don't want any of us to go down now because you've all been really good guests on the show. But unfortunately, the Premier League, it's the way it works, isn't it? But I generally haven't got no hate for any of the teams that have been on tonight. I generally think it's just going to be a big battle. And it's just going to be who can fight the best to stay in the Premier League. We've had 2. I'm hoping that we can not be in this one and it doesn't come to the last game. Otherwise, I'm be grey on my next stream. I tell you, I really will, because that Bournemouth game, I still feel sick from it now. Don't want a last game stay up. right? We've given you all a shout out on your channels. Give them all a follow. If you can hit that like and subscribe to get us going, we will try and put out more shows like this because it's gone really well, in our opinion. I'll drop the banner now. Bit of music, everyone. Royal Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. We haven't got many games left. We're all going to come head to head. I'll have you all on pre-matches and stuff like that. It's going to be a cracker, isn't it? Have a boss night, everyone.
Get on the stream.